Hello everyone and welcome back to the ESV TV Korean Weekly Season 3, Week 1, Day 2. We're going to be jumping to Game 2 in this Round 2 match between Lure and Shine, and the map is going to be on Ohana, which we have seen already today. Not PVZ yet though, let's just take a look at the stats at least. Just see what it's looking like here. There it is, Ohana. Oh, we don't have a lot of stats to show, but just looking a little bit Protoss favor for now. Really small sample size though, so you really can't tell. But I think that's understandable. The natural's really easy to defend. The third, it's the choke point's pretty big, but it's really only one main choke point. If you wall off your natural ramp, you leave like 1 or 2 sentries there, you really only have that one main choke point to defend.
Yeah.
So, and what we've seen generally is that if Protoss players can secure a third base early on, they generally have the advantage. Like, just having 6 gas available in PvZ is so huge. Obviously, that's not true in all scenarios and everything, but so many Protoss players just feel so much more comfortable once they can get that third base in PvZ. So let's jump in and get this game started. All right, here it is, guys. Game number 2 in this best of 3 between Shine in the 5 o'clock position, representing Team SCV Life as a Red Zerg. Down 0-1 right now. Can he make the comeback against his opponent in the 11 o'clock position? Lure, our yellow Protoss, representing Old Generations.
Yeah, as you're saying, Ohana, I mean, this is loser's pick now, so this is a pick that Shine definitely feels comfortable on. So we'll see if he can bring it back. I'm really curious about Lure's play. I really feel that last build he did is not really something that's going to work as well on this map. So I think we'll see a different build from him, but I'm still pretty excited to see exactly what it's going to be, because I am just so impressed from that last game. So, like, honestly, like, PvZ as a matchup sometimes depresses me. Like, sometimes it's just like, again, okay, he's gonna make 8 gateways. He's got his +1. He's just gonna hope it works, or he's just gonna turtle up for the mothership and wait for 200 energy. Like,
Yeah.
the way that, and I don't know, that game was just, it was like a breath of fresh air to me.
I
So
100%.
I'm excited.
I could not agree more, man. That was fantastic to watch. Like, his willingness to split up his units and be like, no,
Yeah.
okay, I know you have mutas, but that's all right, because I just need to do a little bit of damage and keep your lings out of position while I get my 4th. I'm going to send my zealots and immortals over here while I actually send my blinkstalkers over elsewhere to deal with the mutas or to deal with your 4th base. Like, he just had such good decision making. So I am also very excited. We actually see a pool first coming up from Shine, even though there's no probe scout in his base. So, oh, excuse me.
There is.
Yeah, I can't see that on the mini map.
He pylon scouted, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm silly here, but no, he has a probe scout, so that makes total sense that he went for the bull first. Was it on 15 or was it on 14?
14.
Okay,
Yeah.
so totally
just like
standard
last
then.
game.
Yep.
Ooh, gonna sneak out a drone now though, and the probe apparently doesn't care.
Wow, did he not see that, or was he not? Like,
He may not have. I'm not sure though.
that hurts, man. Generally, it's actually like kind of part of the build to delay that hatchery.
Yeah.
It's part of what you're supposed to do, and especially when you're on a map. I mean, granted, this map has a pretty long rush distance, but especially when you're up against pool first and you go Nexus first instead of Forge first. Granted, this map has a 2 force field size ramp, so you shouldn't be having problems. But usually on some maps, especially if it has a big ramp like Antigua Shipyard, it's actually, you have to block it with the pylon, or the lings are going to go straight to your base and you won't have your buildings up in time, and the pylon actually forces the lings to kill it, so it just buys you that extra time. So could cause problems for Lure, but given how small this ramp is, he should just be able to drop a gateway, and then, you know, if he needs to be block with another pylon, if Shine just goes straight to his base with a bunch of lings, excuse me. He only made 4 though, so it looks like Shine just wants to play a standard macro game as well, which, you know, makes sense after last game. I mean, even though he lost, he clearly showed a lot of comfort playing macro, given that he just was like, nah, I'm going to take a 4th base instead of, you know, maxing and killing your 3rd.
Yeah, absolutely. And once again, he's just gone for that fast 3rd hatch without gas. And once again, just like last game, as soon as his overlord saw, hey, there's a pylon on the low ground at the natural, that's when he sends the drone out. So just wasting no time. Meanwhile, Lure, still with his probe out on the map, actually going to hide this near the 4th base for now. Hasn't actually gone down to confirm that that 3rd base is there quite yet.
Yeah, pretty surprising. Usually you'll see players check for that, you know, anytime after the 4-minute mark, especially by the 4:30-minute mark. You'd expect that 3rd hatch to be, you know, on the way if he's going 3 hatch no gas. So I'm really surprised he's not scouting for that. Maybe he's just assuming, based on the map, that that's what Shine will do. I mean, who's really going to go for a gas build on this map right off 2 base? Like, what are you going to go hit your opponent with a roach all in on this tiny ramp with a long rush distance? It would be abysmal. So, and mutas are pretty hard to pull off on this map as well. So, I think he's just expecting it. Yeah, he's going to go scout it with that probe now at the 5-minute mark. So, we'll just see it. And what's his response going to be? Is it going to be like last game, or we're just going to see him be like, all right, that's cool. I'll just play a macro game. You can be on 3 base. That's all right. No problem. or is he actually going to go for some type of bust this time? Well, we haven't seen a +1 started, so it doesn't look like he's going to try to do any type of early pressure onto that third.
Once again here, going for that third gas at his natural there, and the Overlord does spot it too immediately, and that's always something very important. A Protoss player is always going to want to try and keep track of those gas times at the natural, because that's usually what kind of tells you the difference between a massive Warp Gate all-in coming or some kind of tech build. And once again, we see the Robo here, so he may go for something very similar again.
Yeah, I mean, the gas can be such a tell. If you do see, like, really fast quad gas, they're probably going for one of those crazy builds with, like, 12 sentries that has just infinite force fields and a lot of stalkers coming in with, like, 8 gate or something. But if you do see 3 gas, could either be Stargate or, as we've seen from Lure, this type of Robo play. And, of course, with no gas, then you're like, oh, okay, it's something like 4 gate +1 Zealot. So Shine doing an excellent job just keeping track that he will see the 4th gas coming up as well. But it looks like Lure just feels so comfortable with this build, he's just going to do the exact identical thing he did in the last game. I would love to see, though, I mean, I guess he just doesn't have the time. You know, his Robo is always producing important units, but I would love to see what we were talking about in the last game, just mixing in a Warp Prism just to kind of put on some aggression and keep Shine honest, so Shine can't just be like, nah, I'm just going to take a 4th and drone it up and be totally fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's very true. The one thing to keep in mind with the Warp Prism is that it can function pretty well as a scout while you're doing harassment too. So you can kind of try and pick up tells on, hey, do I think he's just gonna, you know, go for a max on roaches, or do I think he's gonna try and head towards mutas faster? So we'll see. And actually, this game he is going for a Warp Prism. So
cool.
Instead of the 3 observers, and I think this makes more sense. You know, the observers, great play for Cloud Kingdom, but on this map, it's going to be a lot harder just to force field the right places, because that area leading into the third is just, I mean, it's going to take you like 8 force fields to force field that all off.
Yeah, and also you can just kind of manage it with maybe 1 observer. You don't necessarily need like a second one outside your natural like you do on Cloud Kingdom, especially if you just kind of wall off that choke point. Looks like he is going to go for one of those 4th sentry drops I was talking about last game, so we'll see how effective this can be. I mean, I remember this was when people first started doing this, everybody was like, oh my god, this is the best thing ever, you can force field off the drones and you just get everything, hooray. But then in actual pro games, I don't know if I've ever seen it be effective, like, even like once, so I don't know, man. We'll see if he can actually do any economic damage. The other way you can do it is, of course, drop it at the ramp. Oh, that is going to be what he's doing. Drop it at the ramp, force field the ramp, and start warping in stalkers. He does have, look at that timing, very nicely timed out. He has 5 gateways just completed, so he'll be able to start warping in 5 stalkers or 5 zealots at a time. And I love that he warps in out of range of the ramp so that Shine didn't know what was up and won't be able to react quick enough to this.
Yeah, I mean, how he did this was he scouted first with his observer to make sure that his Warp Prism wouldn't get seen right as it came in, and now he's just going to be able to keep on warping in units up here, and of course, there's just 1 hatchery, or 1 layer, I should say, producing units on the high ground, so we'll see how long does he want to stay here, because of course, you know, a lot of players when they do this, they'll do some harassment and then they'll just pick up and run away with their units, but the way he continues to warp in really makes it look like he is basically going for the kill blow here.
He's got to be careful with those sentries. One of the best parts about the Warp Prism, though, is, of course, you can save them just putting them into the Warp Prism. Nice force fields on the ramp as well. Nice force fields on these roaches. He's just going to be able to keep those zealots attacking them. Be very, very efficient. He's got to be careful. He doesn't want to lose a single sentry. Every single sentry matters so much with this type of build. And actually, he's going to be out of force fields here. He didn't continue to force field the ramp, so I'm surprised he continued to warp in stalkers. I mean, without the force field, those stalkers are just going to end up being dead weight. They're just going to die unless you lift them off. So may have been a slight mistake here from Lure. He needs to get out of there. He needs to save those
natural
sentries.
Too. The roaches at the natural of Lure here attacking in. They take out the cannon, trying to focus down this one immortal too. So I don't know. And only escaping with 1 stalker here. This is just not. This is not going well for Lure this game.
No, it's not. A little bit of an overinvestment into that drop play. He lost so much at his natural as well. He's down to just 2 sentries. Lost the immortal. I mean, if he had escaped with all 4 sentries, it would have been like, oh, okay, you lost some stalkers, whatever. But losing all 4 sentries and not having a third behind this against a Zerg who is right now on 62 drones on 3 base, it just really, really hurts. How's he going to spend his gas to rebuild those sentries? How's he going to then have enough to be able to take into whatever he feels he needs, whether it be, you know, Colossi or Storm or more Blink Stalkers or, you know, what? You end up being gas starved if you stay on 2 base and have to rebuild sentries as a Protoss.
Yeah, Roach is continuing to charge in here, trying to focus down that 1 immortal. Meanwhile, more coming in from the front too, and this is just... It's just the kind of spot where it's so difficult for Protoss to get a 3rd base. If he can hold this off and just maintain his sentry count, but the sentries are slowly falling, it's just going to be near impossible. He's got 1-1 completed. Shine here with just +1 on the roaches for now.
Yeah, so he does have the upgrade advantage. Lure does, but will it be enough? I mean, he should be able to hold this off, especially with that Immortal that just popped out. Just pure Roach without Ling reinforcements. The Immortal should just help out enough with the probes in front. They should be able to take this out, but, you know, he doesn't have Blink, so he's having trouble microing with those Stalkers. He needs to bring that, there we go, get that Warp Prism in there, start lifting up these units, especially that Immortal right here. He's actually still starting to fall. The constant reinforcements streaming across the map might just be too much for Lure here.
Yeah, on the minimap, just constantly units streaming across. And actually, there comes the GG from Lure. So, well-played game there from Shine. You know, I love Lure's opening. I thought the way he positioned himself was, like, so good. Like, he kind of had it. But then, you know, he didn't keep force fielding the ramp into the main base. And then once those units get up, it's like, well, everything is going to die. Like, and maybe you can save 4 units, but that's all you're going to save.
Right. Yeah, and I think one of the best things about that type of Warp Prism play, maybe not against like the best Zerg players in the world, but for the most part, you can keep the Zerg busy, so you can like take a third behind it, and then it's like by the time the Zerg deals with your Warp Prism harass, it's like you already have cannons, you already have sentries, you already have stalkers, you have immortals, you're established, and they can't really break it as easily. Instead of like trying to drop it once they're already maxing out on roaches. But instead, he didn't drop that third behind the Warp Prism. He was up to, I could be remembering wrong, I think he was up to like 900, 1,000 minerals while he was doing that harass at one point. So it's one of those things where he could have gotten that set up, and then he could have been in a much better position, even if the harass failed. But then, if you don't take a third behind it, it's like, oh, if the harass fails and you lose all the sentries, it kind of ends up being an all-in against a Zerg who has that much macro power behind their build. So, it means we get to move into Game 3, though.
And I'm excited because Game 3 will be on Frigid Pass, so make sure you guys stay tuned.
All right, man. First PVZ on Frigid Pass. I can't wait. Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be back with that after this quick commercial break.